That was the cue. All right. Hello and welcome back to DWT/F self-care series. This is class number 7, and we're talking about do-it-yourself DIY DWT. So yes, you can do a DreamWeaving technique on yourself, by yourself. This is an awesome thing. I think it's an awesome thing. And the reason it got developed is because while I was not feeling well, there were times that I would need a treatment. And the only way, there was only one person, well, 2 people that knew how to do it at that time. And by it, I mean DreamWeaving Technique. Choosing the oils and applying them so that it would address the core. And that was myself and my wife, Jill. And so, so that was one problem in being able to receive a treatment. The other problem was, Jill had to work, and so she wasn't always available, and I didn't want to bother her all the time to get a treatment. And I wanted a treatment at least once a week. And so I ended up developing a do-it-yourself DreamWeaving technique. And well, we'll get into that. It worked. So it was pretty exciting, and it works for many things. So I first got the idea because I had used castor oil packs in the past for gynecological issues, for painful menstrual cramps. It's used widely for constipation, and I had not only used it externally, but also I had ingested it. Yuck. So Jill was doing some research earlier today, and she mentioned that that essentially you would have to, how much did you have to drink?
1 to 2 pints.
1 to 2 pints in order for it to be toxic for a person. Yuck! If you can get down 1 to 2 pints of castor oil, wow! That should be on one of those TV shows that challenges your will and your gut, so that would definitely challenge anybody's gut. So I did actually ingest it as well as a means to cleanse my intestines. But what I did with DreamWeaving technique for the self-care and the do-it-yourself was I thought, well, let me apply it as a castor oil pack. That works really well, and it had been working well for me for pain relief. I had only applied it to the abdomen at that point, but I thought, well, sheesh, I had also taken some classes about sticking chi to the spine, and we're going to demonstrate that. You won't be able to see it, but we'll demonstrate and give you some instruction in how to do that. And then essential oils were also helpful, and I've applied those to my skin. And so I thought, wow, well, if I'm applying oils to the area, and I can apply castor oil to the area and have an effect, and I can do sticking chi to the spine, well, then I kind of wondered, well, what happens if I do all 3 to an area where I'm having difficulties, symptomatology, that's easy for me to say, symptomatology, or if I just want to help build my core. And so I tried all 3 together. And the result was wonderful. It's never the same as receiving DreamWeaving technique, particularly from 2 practitioners. And even if you only receive a treatment from 1 practitioner, it's still wonderful. But you're having really good effects with do-it-yourself. And it wasn't just myself, but other people tried it, and they had wonderful effects too. So we'll show you how to do that today, and we'll talk about a little bit about the wonderful effects of castor oil. Jill's going to talk about that. And so the first thing to do with the do-it-yourself DreamWeaving technique is you apply essential oils to the skin. The second thing, you would apply a castor oil pack, and the third thing is you would do sticking chi to the cells. And I've got ECS, I call it every cell smiling. And so you could do that for your full body, or you can do that just for the areas that maybe are frowning a little bit. So turn that frown upside down in the cells and see what happens. It's easy with the oils. So one thing that people have asked is, how did I choose the oils that I would apply to my skin? Well, usually I'll choose my core oils from DreamWeaving Technique, looking at how Western medicine or science fits in and how it intersects or weaves together with the 5 elements or 5 phases of Chinese medicine, with the 7 main chakras from Ayurveda and from indigenous teachings, and where all of those things would meet together. That's where I would begin to find my holistic personality and the holistic personality of an essential oil. And then once I could put all of those things together, I was able to piece together maybe 3 to 5 oils that would help address the core of my holistic personality for body, mind, emotion, spirit, and have it address and strengthen and stabilize the core of who I am, and then maybe even address a few of the symptoms I was having. Because I found if I changed one thing, and if it affected my entire system, body, mind, emotion, spirit, that a lot of the symptoms would start to fall away. And then I could pinpoint specific symptoms 1 at a time, or 2 at a time, either within that group of oils that I would choose and layer on, or just find a way to pinpoint those and kind of alleviate those symptoms 1 at a time. But when you strengthen the core, you just change that one thing, right? And then everything else starts to fall away. And so it was exciting. And that's laid out in our book, The Soul's Whip, which we're still writing, but hopefully we'll make some progress on that soon. And a lot of it's laid out in there. That was the process. Sometimes I just wanted to alleviate symptoms. For instance, if I had old scar tissue or a lot of pain, I would take Helichrysum, because that's known for that, and then I would combine it. I would try it by itself, but it didn't, and massage it in with the castor oil and put the castor oil pack on. But it didn't always work as well as when I added an essential oil that has a high percentage of sesquiterpenes. I would often choose cedarwood because it's less expensive than some of the other oils. But what I found was somehow it was more effective to use the Helichrysum, or it's also known as everlasting, with an oil that had a high percentage of sesquiterpenes. I don't know if it's a delivery agent, but what I found was that scar tissue seemed to melt away much more quickly than with just the Helichrysum by itself, or just the oil with sesquiterpenes in it, or high percentage of sesquiterpenes in it by itself. And so you can still choose oils any way you wish. If you want to do it for symptomatology, that's good. If you can find your core, then your core oils, that's good. You can contact us and we'll find your core oils, assist and help you find your core oils as well. They do shift on occasion, but most of the time there are several that stay the same. Okay, so what is sticking chi to the spine? We'll demonstrate that later, but in the meantime, let's hear from Jill and find out the wonders of castor oil, the history, the folklore, and a little science. Okay, come on in, Jill.
Okay, hi everybody, I'm Jill, and I'm going to talk about the possible benefits of castor oil. I'm also going to talk just a little bit about some research studies that have been done with regard to castor oil. So when we talk about possible benefits of castor oil, we're going to kind of start with some folklore. Okay, and castor oil has been used for a very, very long time for any number of different reasons. So when we talk about the benefits, we also talk about the hair, skin, and the body, okay? As women, these things are very important, right? And to some men too, these things are very important. So it's good for, people have used it for hair. They'll put it in their hair to leave as like a leave-in conditioner, okay? Because it's a very, very good moisturizer. So if it's good for moisturizing the hair, it's also going to be good for moisturizing the skin and your body. It's also been used to reduce wrinkles. Okay, that's a good thing, to get rid of those wrinkles. It's also been used for sunspots or sun damage on the face. And part of the reason that it's good for that is it's anti-inflammatory. Okay, it's anti-inflammatory, it's antifungal, it's antiviral, antibacterial. So it's also helping to reduce and get rid of anything on your face that might be causing blemishes. Castor oil does come from the castor bean. Okay, and the primary agent in there is a fatty acid. Let me make sure I pronounce this right. It's ricin oleic acid. Okay, I think I said that right. And so it's up to 90%, and that's the agent in there that has the healing properties within it. Now, one thing to keep in mind: the castor bean by itself is toxic, so don't go around eating a bunch of castor oil beans. That would be good. Okay, castor oil also helps with fighting infection. Okay, one thing it does is it helps move the lymph. Okay, and when the lymph is moving, it helps to create white blood cells, which help to fight infection within our system. So if lymph gets blocked or clogged, that's not good. So castor oil helps to kind of move the lymph within the system. Some people also have been known to drink castor oil, as Denise said earlier. I personally have not done that, and I don't think I will. But some people, will drink it to help for constipation. Okay, now if you're going to drink castor oil and you're constipated, well, some of the side effects could then be an upset stomach. You might have diarrhea. So, if you're going to drink it, it's something that you should be very, very cautious with, because as she said, it can be toxic even when you drink it. So you might want to consult a physician before doing something like that. People also have ingested it to help with arthritis and joint pain, because their belief was that the quicker, if it's inside, the quicker it's going to be able to help address those issues. Okay, now when we use it for the do-it-yourself DreamWeaving technique, that's one of the things that the castor oil can help with topically as well. Let's see, so studies that were done. This study was done in 1992 by the National Toxicology Program, and this is a quote directly from it. It says, "Exposure to diets containing up to 10% castor oil was associated with only minimal indications of toxicity in rats and mice." Okay, so that's one study that was done in 1992. Now, some additional studies that have been done that are more recent, we found on Mercola.com, and he has referenced several studies that have been done that have also some pretty big benefits. So I'm going to read a couple of those to you. Castor oil has been found to have strong suppressive effect on some tumors. Okay, makes sense, right? If, when Denise was talking earlier, she had some issues with, reproductive organs. She also had, the tumor on her ovary. Okay, so castor oil pack was used for that. Let's see, what else? In 2010, a study found that castor oil packs are an effective means of decreasing constipation in the elderly, which we just talked about.
You're not calling me elderly, are you?
No.
Okay.
In 2009, there was a study done that found castor oil effectively relieves arthritis symptoms. Okay, so these are some things that are starting to kind of relate back to the folklore. Okay, if people were using castor oil years and years and years ago, there's probably a reason for that. Okay, before there were medications, the more traditional type of healing, that stuff, it gets used for a reason. 1999, a study was carried out to determine whether or not typical castor oil would stimulate the lymphatic system. Just talked about that as well. The findings were positive. After a 2-hour treatment with castor oil packs, there was a significant increase in the number of T11 cells, which increased over a 7-hour period following treatment. Let's see, let's just do one more. Patients with occupational dermatitis may have a positive reaction to castor oil or the ricinoleic acid that we talked about. Okay, so again, the research is kind of relating back to the folklore. One other thing I want to mention is to know the source of where the castor oil comes from. Okay, we talk about this with essential oils too. There are some questions you want to ask. A lot of castor oil at times can be sprayed with pesticides. Okay, you don't want to be using castor oil that's been sprayed with that kind of stuff because it gets mixed in and we don't want to be putting that stuff into our system. So just, ask your questions. How is it? Was it cold pressed? You want it to be cold pressed. You probably want it to be organic if possible. So just be aware of where you get your castor oil.
And hexane free.
And hexane free, yes. That was another thing that came up in all of the reading that I did, was you want it to be hexane free. So.
Anything else in the folklore that people have, just as a list that people have used it for?
Yes. Let me find it.
Okay.
Okay, yes. Quite a few other things. There were some, well, in addition to the folklore, there are some early clinical trials that suggest, again, the ricin, when combined with an antibody to confine the poison to malignant cells, it shrinks the tumors. Okay, so other things that have been used, that castor oil has been used for, are multiple sclerosis, arthritis, epilepsy, cancer, Parkinson's, migraines, AIDS, eye irritation. Okay, they talked about in terms of styes and things like that on the eye, cerebral palsy, detoxification, and gynecological problems.
Previous page.
So, let's see if there's anything else that I didn't mention. Home remedies. Again, we talked about constipation, dysentery, inflammatory bowel disease, bladder and vaginal infections, and asthma. And I believe that's it. Oh, it's also been used to induce labor. Okay, that hasn't been, there haven't been any studies on that, but...
There have been studies.
Oh, there have been? Okay, I didn't come across any of those, but in terms of the folklore too, they mentioned that.
There have been, as a matter of fact, NIH did some studies.
Okay.
So,
Okay. And with that, I believe we're going to talk about castor oil pack instructions, and we're going to do a couple of demos for you.
okay.
Alrighty.
Okay, look.
Okay.
And nothing on the history, how long it's been used or anything like that?
Let's see.
Here, let me take a peek at it. And I'll just mention it. I'll mention it right when we're... Centuries ago, it's been used in Egypt, China, Persia, Africa, Greece, Rome, Europe, 17th century Europe, and the Americas. Okay, so let's bring a chair over.
Should I go ahead and just fill that up probably?
Yeah, you want to turn that off? The